What is up, Bears fans? Welcome to the Chicago Bears Huddle podcast, your UK take on all things Chicago Bears. I am MW James, and this is the latest news, guys. We've got news on Declan Doyle. We've got news on Antoine Randall. We've got news on DJ Moore as well. Look, as I said on the video this morning, the Bears have some massive decisions to take when it comes to roster building for next season. Obviously, contract restructures need to be looked at to create cap space. Free agents need to be looked at in terms of who stays, who goes, particularly in that safety room where the entire safety room will be going unless we retain some of them. The pass rush needs to be addressed. I think obviously linebackers, another position that probably needs to be looked at as well. The defense, I think, needs the most work. The offense will, of course, remain fairly consistent in terms of the players on the field due to the fact that obviously most of those guys are under contract. Obviously, continuing talk around DJ Moore, which we'll get to in a moment. Now, we brought you news the other day that Declan Doyle had withdrawn from the Philadelphia Eagles interview process, that he wanted, obviously, to remain with the Bears. Declan Doyle is widely seen as one of the brightest young up-and-coming minds on the offensive side of the ball in the whole of the NFL, having obviously worked with Sean Payton, top offensive head coach, and of course Ben Johnson, up-and-coming top offensive head coach, a man who has already been talked about in the same breath as the likes of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. So look, Declan Doyle is seen as being one of the top guys. Now, Declan Doyle did fantastic work with the Bears last season. Obviously, very, very much moving the Bears into the top 10 in all offensive categories. Also, the work that he did with Caleb Williams cannot be underestimated to see the improvement and the move forward from Caleb in Season 2. After an okay Season 1, where he was badly treated, I think, by the fact that he had to work with Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, and others. So, Declan Doyle obviously is a big part of what makes the Chicago Bears offense successful, and obviously now he is garnering a lot of interest from around the league. And as I've said on the previous videos, this is what happens when you get good. Coaches on your staff start getting picked off by opposition teams because they want to have a little bit of that Chicago Bear quality. Now, Declan Doyle, wrong slide. Declan Doyle. In terms of Declan Doyle, we thought of that's it. He's staying. He's not going anywhere. It now emerges that there could be another possible departure for Declan Doyle. That why, you may ask? Well, because of the fact that, according to reports in a number of sources across the nation, the Baltimore Ravens are looking for a new offensive coordinator and apparently are ready to put in a permission to speak to and interview Declan Doyle for their vacant OC role. Now, at this moment in time, the Baltimore Ravens have just obviously parted company with longtime head coach Harbaugh and replaced him with Jesse Minter, the former defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. Jesse Minter is the new Ravens head coach, and the report is that obviously that Minter is looking to put together his own staff. From obviously looking around, wanting to bring in some top names. Now, look, the Ravens are a team that are looking to build, looking to improve on the offensive side of the ball. They have some very interesting players, some very interesting weapons on the offense. Obviously, the top amongst them being Lamar Jackson. The chance to work with a quarterback, multi MVP, mobile threat like Lamar Jackson obviously is a big pull for any offensive coordinator. You also get into that as well, the likes of Derrick Henry. You get in there Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, and you get obviously some top tight ends. And given the fact that that Declan Doyle obviously comes from an offense that likes using tight ends, you've got Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. You've got some top quality talent there in Baltimore. So it could be that Baltimore becomes a very attractive option for him. Now, like I said, you look at their staff at the moment, they are building their staff. They want to bring in new staff. They want to bring in new coordinators. At the moment, on paper, Todd Monken is their offensive coordinator. They have obviously an offensive staff there. But the thought is that Declan Doyle is a big possible candidate for this job and is someone who obviously could be brought in if he interviews well. Now, look, I've got no doubt in my mind that Given what we've heard about the Eagles interview process, that he did exceptionally well in that. Many people talked about him being a possible future head coach anyway. So that is a slight worry, a slight concern. And the Ravens, I think, is a strong possibility. And I don't think this will be the end of it, with the fact that there are still teams looking to appoint head coaches, the Cleveland Browns, the Arizona Cardinals, for example. You could even have further interview requests as those new head coaches look to build their staff. So that perhaps initial thoughts that that it's safe, Doyle staying, may now go to one side. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on this one. Is this a possibility? Antoine Randall, a couple of things obviously about Antoine Randall. Antoine Randall is certainly someone who I think will start to be looked at in terms of head coach interviews. He's the wide receiver, assistant head coach of the Chicago Bears. He's someone who obviously could be looked at as a future OC. Now, I suppose the one positive could be if Doyle did depart to the Ravens or to another team, then we could internally promote Antoine Randall to OC, therefore warding off any interest in him from other teams. Again, I think this is a name that is going to be a name to look out for this offseason, maybe more next offseason, as a possible offensive coordinator somewhere. He's a guy who brings a lot of coaching experience, having worked for a number of teams, obviously more recently in the Bears, the Detroit Lions, with head coach Ben Johnson. So, Antoine Randall, another name that now is getting mentioned as a possible departure. The brain drain on offense seems to be happening. The loss of Eric Bieniemy already gone to Kansas City. The possible loss of Declan Doyle. Antoine Randall being another one. Certainly I think Antoine Randall is perhaps a go-to guy on the offensive side of the ball. Antoine Randall has also been talking to Jared Payton, son of Walter Payton, about DJ Moore. And being very positive about DJ, talking about, DJ as a leader, what DJ brought. DJ's winning this year, the special that DJ has brought to the team this year. This, of course, comes on the back of Ryan Pohl's comments where he was positive about DJ, but it was more what he didn't say about DJ that's kind of sparked a discussion. Now, DJ Moore will be the highest paid Bear going into the 2026 season, at $28.5 million a year. Now, it may be the Bears look to move that $28.5 million contract off the roster to create more cap space. And certainly the rising talent of Rome Odunze, Luther Burden and Colston Loveland certainly would perhaps put the possibility that Moore could be traded higher up. I mean, DJ is a top receiver, do not get me wrong, and I prefer to keep hold of him. Maybe a contract restructure is to be done, and therefore we do keep hold of him. But, from that playoff loss to the Rams, where there's been a lot of he kind of quit on that route. He kind of stopped on that route, kind of rumours going round from Bears fans. There's been a little bit of an anti-feeling towards DJ in more recent times. So could it be that DJ could be on his way out of the franchise? Could he be a possible trade candidate? Could this be someone that for the right deal, for the right trade deal, or even as a make-weight in a deal for somebody or some area that we need, a D lineman, an edge rusher? I mean, look at the Raiders, for example. The Raiders obviously are likely to draft Fernando Mendoza first overall. Mendoza needs targets. DJ Moore is a top target. Could it be that we use DJ Moore plus a draft pick in some sort of make weight to bring Max Crosby to the Bears for the 2026 season? Something else that has been heavily discussed in terms of DJ Moore. But I think this whole DJ Moore trade scenario is one that will run right throughout this entire offseason, especially as the Bears look to free up cap space and look to kind of develop other areas of the team. Like I said, given the rise of young offensive weapons like Dunze, Loveland and Burden. Guys, let me know your thoughts on these stories that we've covered in this video. Thank you for checking out the Bears Huddle podcast. If you've enjoyed the content, please obviously like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bear down.